Ladies and gentlemen, we didn't have to wait too long. Mr. Trump, as expected, has escalated the tariff war with India. He has slapped 25% additional tariffs on India for buying Russian oil and arms. In fact, Trump's executive order says, and I'm quoting that order now, he says, imposition of tariffs. I find that the government of India is currently directly or indirectly importing Russian Federation oil. Accordingly, as a consistent and with applicable law, articles of India imported into the custom territory of the United States shall be subject to an additional rate of duty of 25%. Essentially, 25% is the tariff that was imposed before. Now, an additional 25% means it goes up to almost 50%. In fact, a little above 50%, because the penalty he spoke about is something that we are still not clear on. What is this penalty that he's talking about? Let me go straight across to Srinjoy and Hina, who are joining us on the broadcast. Hina, we didn't have to wait too long. We thought we'll have an order or extra tariffs being, slapped on us maybe by midnight tonight. It seems Mr. Trump woke up, and as soon as he woke up, he has decided that 25% additional tariffs on India, which means what, 50% tariffs now?
Well, that's how it looks like right now. As far as this executive order, Shreya, is concerned, that has been signed by U.S. President Donald Trump and uploaded on the website of the White House. If you look at, what it mentions, it says that consistent with applicable law, articles of India imported into the customs territory of the United States shall be subject to an additional ad valorem rate of duty of 25%. So if we look at what we have already existing, which is 25%, and if we say that this is going to be in addition to that 25%, so definitely it becomes 50%. Then it is shocking, because this is not something that India really was prepared for. We were okay with something around 25 to 26%. That's what exporters also were okay with. Indian government also was quite comfortable with 25, 26%, but if it becomes 25 plus 25, which is 50, plus a penalty for buying, oil from Russia, then it is definitely a cause of concern. But if we look at the language that has been used in this executive order, because it seems like this is in response to India still buying Russian oil, this could very well be that additional penalty that Trump had spoken about, which is 25% the tariff that he said earlier, plus the penalty that he spoke about, could be this 25%. Because he has categorically mentioned here that I find that the government of India is currently directly or indirectly importing Russian Federation oil. So after that, the statement says additional 25% ad valorem. So we'll have to wait for clarity, but this is definitely not a good news for Indian exporters.
So which is the country that is facing the maximum amount of tariff? That is Brazil at 50%. Now India faces the highest tariffs from the United States of America along with Brazil. This is certainly not looking good, but Hina, then does what the RBI governor said earlier today still hold true when he was asked whether these tariffs will actually impact India? I'm just paraphrasing him. He said not really.
Well, he has retained the GDP forecast for the current financial year at 6.5%, despite all the geopolitical uncertainties, despite the tariff threats continuously coming in from the United States of America. He was extremely confident this morning around 10 o'clock when he was making that announcement. He said we'll be able to achieve our growth targets. He did not tinker with the growth targets at all. So that was another indication that, our fundamentals are quite strong. We'll be able to withstand any kind of tremors, even if they arise because of the tariffs or any other issues that happen across the world, because our domestic fundamentals are extremely strong. Inflation is under control. But this this tariff bomb, if indeed it is 50%, as it looks like right now, then it is definitely going to, send shockwaves, especially for the exporters. We'll have to wait and see how the Indian government really responds to it, because so far on this threat of American president that, till you stop buying Russian oil, our response has been very clear. We will buy oil from any place where it suits us. It's national interest that's paramount for us. We do not really look at such threats. We will not be intimidated by these bullying or bargaining tactics of yours.
So, Srinjoy, two things are very clear here. The fact is that Mr. Trump's envoy may be in Moscow right now and Mr. Doval may be in Moscow right now. The Russians have made it very clear they are not stopping the war, right, against Ukraine. So that is very clear. India has made it very clear that we are not going to stop buying Russian oil. Where does this leave our negotiations with the United States of America? There is a team that is flying down end of August from the United States of America to take these negotiations forward. What happens to that?
That is something India will be hoping for. When these people, the American delegation that arrives here, they have the ability and they have the power to actually negotiate deals. And with President Trump, whatever else you say, everything is negotiable. Sometimes what he says is the opening gambit. It's the first throw of the dice, not the bottom line. So the people who are optimists can say that this is the first throw of the dice. And if it is going to be 50%, President Trump also knows it will not be 50%. It is a lever, a negotiating lever to bring India to do certain things. Now that is one possibility. Now if it remains 50%, as Hina very rightly said, Indian exports will hurt. And Indian exports of jewelry, gems, all kinds of things will be very seriously hurt.
Okay.
About that, there is no doubt. And naturally, India's exports, if they are hurt to the United States, may be difficult to find other countries to export as much as India is exporting to the United States. So India's exports will go down, the balance of trade will hurt, the balance of payments will hurt. All of that is in the future. But the most important hope for India is this negotiating team that arrives from America later this month. Now, such people
can you give me a minute here?
Will be in a position to help
Sinjur, can you give me a minute here because we'll fix your audio. There's a bit of a problem with your audio. We'll just try and fix that and I'll come right back to you. Sushant Sareen is joining us on the broadcast as well. Sushant Sareen, you know, most people you talk to will tell you, most strategic experts will tell you, look, these are all bargaining tactics. Are these bargaining tactics or is this plain bullying? I mean, 50% is the highest tariff he has imposed on anyone. Brazil is facing a 50% tariff and now so are we.
Yeah, so it's quite clearly bullying. And if you read the entire executive order, it's very clear that he has given some carve-outs. I'm not entirely sure what are the products that come under that. Probably the same ones like electronics and a couple of other things that the Americans need. But for rest of it, I think many of Indian exports are going to suffer. Obviously, the market is dead. The U.S. is a dead market. Whatever you can send to the U.S. in the next 21 days, it's fine, after which these tariffs will apply. And it's quite clear that at 50% tariffs, Indian exports will not be competitive. So you can't, the U.S. market is out. He's also threatened that in case we retaliate, then he is going to raise up the tariffs, which frankly speaking doesn't matter, because if the trade in any case is dead, then you might as well raise tariffs on U.S. products to a point where let the trade die on both sides. You cannot have it that, you know, the U.S. goods come in at cheaper rates while your own exports are dead. You can't send anything to the U.S. So I think the government needs to start putting on its thinking cap and seeing how they propose to handle this situation. But quite clearly, you know, the fact that the Chinese are importing over 50% of Russian oil.
Correct.
The Europeans are importing over almost 50% of European gas and a certain amount of crude oil. The Turks are importing gas from the Russians. Does not seem... Trump seems to think that only the money that India is spending on Russian oil is fueling the war. Now, clearly this flies in the face of logic, but then logic has nothing to do with Donald Trump or that entire mad MAGA crowd. Because remember one thing, that whatever oil we are buying from the Russians, we are buying primarily because it is being sold at a massive discount to us. Okay? So it's not as if the Russians are making a whole lot of money by selling that oil to us. the profits that might be generated after we process the oil are profits that India is making. Those are not profits that the Russians are making. How does that fuel the war in Russia, right? Between Russia and Ukraine? It doesn't. So this whole logic, but like I said, logic has no meaning for this crazy white trash, trailer trash American crowd which is now in power. Frankly speaking, we just have to start working your way around this particular problem. But like I said, for all practical purposes, for the foreseeable future, as long as these tariffs are there, India-US trade is dead. Yes, you can continue negotiating with them for whatever that's worth, which I should imagine we will keep doing. But I think you have to think in terms of imposing reciprocal tariffs on the Americans and let him take the tariff rate to 100, 200, 500, 1000%. How does it matter?
Okay, Mr. Sareen, I think that makes complete sense. But will India actually escalate the issue at hand and impose retaliatory tariffs? We'll just wait and watch. But as you're saying, we don't have anything to lose right now. So might as well just go and give them a punch back. Hina, if you can just come in here. Do we have a 21-day reprieve? Because these additional tariffs kick in after 21 days, right?
So, you know, the first tranche that was announced earlier, 25% plus a penalty, that kicks in from 7th of August. And just one day before 7th of August, we have got Trump signing this executive order wherein he has announced this additional 25% for us, which is in a way a punishment for India because it is still buying Russian oil, something that Trump is extremely unhappy about. So overall, you know, we'll have to wait and see whether it's going to be starting August of 7, it's going to be full 50%, or like you said, 25% from 7th of August, and then about 21 days later, another 25%. We are just waiting for more details to emerge on this particular aspect, and a statement from the government is also expected because, you know, like all of us, even government, you know, was in for a surprise here, just like last time when out of nowhere, the same time that evening, he announced 25% tariff on India, also a penalty. So we'll have to wait and see what the calculations eventually are going to be and what is it that India is going to do going forward.
Rishabh, can you just come in here now? It's too early, I understand that, but any reaction you are getting from the Ministry of External Affairs? Of course, they had put out a point-by-point rebuttal calling out America's hypocrisy, etc. But then logic doesn't seem to appeal too much to President Donald Trump. There is now a 50% tariff on us. There will be a response from India. When will we see that response?
Well, a response is anticipated right now from the government of India. It could be either from the External Affairs Ministry or the Commerce Ministry, Shreya, and that's what we are expecting, that the government of India would be responding day before yesterday when this whole tariff thing started, and how there were statements that were coming in accusing India of fueling, quote unquote, the Russian war or the Russian aggression on Ukraine. India came out with a very strong statement and point-by-point rebuttal, showing the mirror to U.S. and European Union at how they are fueling the Russian war, quote unquote, much more than what India is doing. As of now, we haven't heard much from the government of India. We are still waiting, for a formal response or even anything that comes in from India. It has just walked in. The announcement has just come in. It is non-office hours as well here, but definitely the government of India is right now must be preparing a reply. We'll have to wait on that front. But also this very thing, only yesterday at a during a telephonic conversation, Shreya, with CNBC Asia Pacific, Donald Trump did say that he's going to announce more tariff on India within 24 hours. And here we are, 25% tariff over and above the already established tariff, which was 25%. Okay. So now we are among the most tariffed country when it comes to through the prism of the United States. Remains to be seen how India's diplomacy will sail through this and how they'll get things back on track.
Storm, I'm sure we can weather this one as well. There's no point giving into bullying and surrendering our national interest. Srinjoy, you're joining us as well, back with us. can I ask you this? Possibly there's a 21-day reprieve. Possibly, and we'll try and get more details, but as of now, of what Hina understands, this 25% additional tariff that has been imposed is possibly the penalty that Donald Trump had been talking about for buying oil from Russia, etc. Is retaliatory tariffs on the table at all as far as India is concerned?
Well, at this point, India will have to look at this whole issue first and then decide on a course of action. Now, the first thing that India would want, even before retaliatory tariffs, that's what the Chinese did. But we are a 3 trillion economy. The Chinese are a 20 trillion economy. America is 30 trillion. Now, what India would hope is that this is just a threat. While he has imposed it, it is in some ways a Trumpian threat. Because if it's a threat and it hasn't yet been imposed, there is, as you rightly said, a 21-day period where India can do what it can do. Let's not forget that this process will happen when the American delegation arrives. Now, that's when the hard-nosed negotiations will happen. That's when the discussions will take place. With Trump, whatever you say, the opposite is also true. So it's quite possible that tomorrow or day after tomorrow, he may change his mind. Let's take the case of China. What were the levels of tariff in China? Over 100%, over 150%. Then there was a trade deal and life went on. Everyone was happy. So you would expect something like that with Donald Trump. And here, on one hand, he said Narendra Modi is a good friend of his. And then on the other hand, he says that your tariff rates are 50%. So it's entirely possible that there will be a solution. It is not to say that there definitely will be. With Trump, you can never tell.
But at this point of time, Sanjoy, with news that is breaking in, I'll just say, with friends like these, who needs enemies? You certainly don't need friends like this. Give me a moment here. We already have a first reaction coming in from the opposition, not from the government, because the government will have to study this executive order and then frame a response. This cannot be a knee-jerk response. So we'll wait for that response to come in, be assured it will. But this is Supriya Srinath, who has now tweeted of the Congress party. I'm just going to read this out for you. Trump imposes an additional 25% tariff on India, along with the previous 25% announced. The total tariff is now 50%. Disastrous for our economy, our exports, production, jobs. Mr. Modi, speak up. It's time you do. Rashid Alvi, thank you very much for joining us on the broadcast. Is this the reaction one should be expecting from the opposition at what is a sensitive time?
You know, opposition has no role in it, but I strongly condemn what President Trump has imposed. So much tariff and penalty on us. But it is the responsibility of our government, our Prime Minister. They should answer it. It is the failure of our foreign policy. That is the reason it is happening. We are neither going towards Russia, nor we are going to United States. You remember that our Prime Minister had gone to in election campaign when he was saying, "Ab ki baar Trump Sarkar," and now he is the same Trump who is imposing so much tariff and penalty on us, and it will destroy our economy. A few days back, this is our government was talking that we are number 3rd, number 4th in the world as far as our GDP is concerned. Now what will happen? Textile industry, other industry will be destroyed. It will be very difficult.
But
and
Mr. Alvi, can I ask you this? Mr. Alvi, can I ask you this? I get the point you're trying to make. You're saying, Mr. Modi, speak up. Now, hasn't the government, forget Mr. Modi for a moment, because this is not Mr. Modi versus Mr. Trump. This is Mr. Trump and the United States of America against India. This is a war a tariff war they have launched against India, not Mr. Modi. First things first. You're saying that, and you know, I'm not here to defend the government at any point of time, Mr. Alvi, but you're saying India's foreign policy has failed because we have not managed to get a trade deal from them, and the tariffs imposed on us, like Brazil, are now the highest at 50%. Technically, you're correct. But then it will mean that the foreign policy of the entire world has flopped. Mexico, China, Canada, Germany, Japan, Vietnam, South Korea, Taiwan, Ireland, Italy, UK, Switzerland, Thailand, France, Singapore, Brazil, Netherlands, Indonesia, Belgium, Israel, Spain, Sweden, सब पे तो tariff लगा दिया इन्होंने. So does that mean the foreign policy of the entire world has changed? Or are we dealing with a bully who is hell-bent on not taking care of our own national interest, but only taking care of what is his interest?
Madam, I agree with you. Trump has become mad, no doubt in it. But as far as the question of our foreign policy, I can point out more than 10 points where I can prove it, that our foreign policy, it is absolutely failure on the part of our government. That is the reason our government had sent so many delegations to convince to so many countries against Pakistan. Our Prime Minister had visited more than...
In this case, Mr. Alvi, you have to tell me who the villain is according to the Congress party. Is Mr. Narendra Modi the villain here, or is Mr. Trump the villain here? Is the fight against Trump or is the fight against Mr. Modi? That is my limited question.
You cannot compare Rahul Gandhi and Trump.
नहीं, Rahul Gandhi मेरे मुंह से गलती से निकला था, sir. It was a slip of tongue.
Then what do you want to say? Between Modi and Trump?
No. I want to ask you, for the Congress party, who's the villain in this story, in the tariff story? Is it Narendra Modi or is it Donald Trump? You can only pick one villain.
It is my considered opinion. It is our government which is responsible for this. It is definitely our Prime Minister's failure. That is the reason.
Okay, ठीक है, चलिए. माना, Mr. Alvi. Mr. Alvi, then what did you want the government of India to do? चलिए, 2 minute के लिए सोच लीजिए that Rahul Gandhi was the Prime Minister of this country. ठीक है? And he was the one negotiating a trade deal with the Americans, with Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump says, मेरे देश में non-vegetarian milk होता है, where cows are fed with meat and meat products. You let me send this milk to your country. Would Rahul Gandhi have agreed? Would Rahul Gandhi have agreed when Mr. Trump says, open the agricultural sector? I want to send the GM modified corn we grow, which is very cheap, into your market. We will flood your market. तुम्हारे farmers को क्या होता है, हमको कुछ मतलब नहीं है, but we will flood your markets with cheap corn. What would Rahul Gandhi have done, sir? आप बताइए जरा मुझको.
Madam, this is your hypothetical question. If Rahul Gandhi becomes Prime Minister, then how will he deal? Important question is that present government, our Modi sir.
नहीं सर, मैं आपसे पूछ रही हूँ. Sir, you are saying, sir, Mr. Alvi, just give me a moment here. With due respect, I am asking you a simple question. I am saying that, chalo, Mr. Modi has not got a trade deal. ठीक है, we understand that. You are saying it's a failure of India's national policy and foreign policy. I understand that also. चलिए, 1 minute के लिए मैं आपकी बात मान लेती हूँ. You tell me, Mr. Alvi, if the Congress party was in power and negotiating a trade deal with Mr. Trump, if Rahul Gandhi was on the other side, would he have compromised national interest? Now, if he would not have compromised national interest because he's a true patriot who needs to protect agriculturists in this country, farmers in this country, dairy farmers in this country, why should Mr. Modi not do the same? आप बताइए.
Madam, with due respect, the only answer of your question is, we have been in power for more than 10 years. Our Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, was the Prime Minister of this country. And nothing has happened during those 10 years. We have shown to the world, and Dr. Manmohan Singh was respected like anything in the whole of world. We had our own foreign policy.
Okay, Mr. Alvi, again, you know, at a sensitive moment like this, when we have been slapped with 50% tariffs, I mean, I would have expected you to say a couple of negative things about Mr. Trump. All you have said is that he is mad. I'm quoting you, but I do think that was a bit of an understatement. Pranesh is joining me on the broadcast as well, miking up. Anil Trigunia, as we get Pranesh into the broadcast, can I